Hello everyone and welcome to Mudlet Creek Garage. In this video, we are going to be installing the cheapest Honda Talon bumper you can buy. So this guy here, in all her glory, the LYMM098, is the cheapest Honda Talon bumper you can find. This is $165 shipped to my door. Let's get this thing unboxed and we'll install it on the rig. So now that we have it in the box, we can see what actually comes with the kit. We have the bumper, which, some of these welds are pretty decent and other ones, leave a little to be desired. There's a few scuffs and scrapes, but nothing I'm not gonna put in it myself. It looks all right. It does feel thin, but what can you expect for 160 bucks? Comes with a little skid plate. This almost feels like it's aluminum, so probably not gonna hold up too well, bashing off. Whatever, we're gonna bash off hardware, and it actually comes with instructions. Most of these offshore kits don't come with that, so that's kind of nice and unexpected. And there is a winch mount built into this bumper, so you'll just be able to bolt your existing winch or a future winch right onto here. Let's get it installed. So my machine already has a winch on it, so our first steps are going to be to remove these Allen bolts right here that hold the side front plastics to the bumper. And then we're going to undo all of our winch mount bolts that hold the winch mount to this bumper. Then we're going to slide this bumper off, and then we'll go after the U-bolts to hold our winch mount on. So less talking, more working. So I have the front bumper removed from the Talon, and it's actually quite simple. So there's only going to be 6 bolts that actually hold the bumper on. There's 1, 2, and 3. So this just slides in here, and you remove 3 bolts over here, 3 bolts over there, and you can slide it right off. So this does have, like I said, a winch plate already in it. And I'm thinking, because of the way this bumper is designed, kind of like the stock bumper, I'm going to be able to install this bumper and still keep the winch plate. Now, the reason I like that is because this is a pretty heavy duty winch plate, and this is still a Chinese bumper, and it's going to add rigidity to the bumper as well as give me a really good place to winch off of. So let's get the winch uninstalled partially, leave the winch plate, but undo all of my winch holding bolts and undo my fair lead, and then we're going to try to slide this bumper in and see if it'll fit. The winch is now removed from the machine, so I can slide the new bumper in, and we can try to get it bolted in and see if everything lines up with the existing winch plate. So it's looking like it's not going to quite clear with the winch plate, but maybe if I loosen these and I drop this plate down, it'll give me a little bit of room that'll allow me to get them bolts in. So let's try that. So now I have the bumper installed on the machine, and it looks pretty good. I don't have the winch reinstalled yet because I actually took the plate out and I had to do some modifications, but the bumper fits actually better than I would expect for a $160 bumper. So it fits pretty well. Don't mind the scratches. That was me. But yeah, it fits pretty darn well. So I'm going to modify that winch plate to fit up and in here to give me some extra support. And then we will be back to get the winch and the skid plate on. So the bumper and the winch are reinstalled. So the winch bolts in up here on the top. And what I had to do is I had to cut the plate off right at the bolts. And I had to drop it down on the frame. You can see the U-bolts back here. I just kind of sucked it down, and I actually got it to fit. I did have to re-drill some holes, which was no real big deal, but it is what it is. So let's get this skid plate mounted, and I do know my winch has a wire rope, so the fair lead is not going to fit into these bolt holes. So that's another fabrication project. So I'm ready to bring you guys back in for an update, and the first update is this here skid plate thing. Yeah, Chuck that right in the frickin' trash. Not worth your time. Thing's absolutely terrible. Does not fit worth a crap. I'm not gonna continue on. So, as far as fitment goes, they do not actually give you the proper fit up for a synthetic rope style fair lead. So for right now, this is what I got dreamt up. It's pretty strong, it'll work. This is just the original winch plate fair lead connection. I just lopped it off and bolted it back on. So it uses the outer two like you'd use for a regular cable winch, and the inner, you know, is off the old, which you use for the synthetic winch. So I guess I'll give you my thoughts. So how's it look? I think it looks pretty good. Actually, the fitment between the body and the machine is very good for a $150 bumper. You know, other than the paint, which it's a $150 bumper that I scratched very easily by just, it moved on the concrete floor. You know, the paint's terrible, but the actual product you get, give an exception to that piece of junk, is actually pretty good. You know, for somebody that's just gonna use it to hold a winch and occasionally use it, or really looking for the looks more than they are the functionality, or yanking on something, you know, it's a good buy. You know, am I gonna trust this to winch my machine up in a tree without the winch plate especially? No. But if I was in a pinch and needed to get something winched out, this is gonna work perfectly fine, and it looks good. And everybody that has the argument about the tube size, you know, if I go and buy a $500 bumper, the tube strength is definitely going to be more. But if I put this thing in a tree, I have insurance. You know, the difference between a $150 bumper and a $500 bumper versus a tree the size of this lift arm is zero. That $500 bumper is not gonna help me any more than this one does. So my thoughts, if you're not using it heavy and you're just going for the looks and a place to mount a winch, buy it. It's a great deal. It'll work fine, and it looks pretty good. So that's all, guys. If you like what you've seen, please hit like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching Mudlet Creek Garage.